So, let me ask you something before we even start this video properly, and honestly think about it for a second. Why is Zebec still this underrated when it's solving real problems? Why are institutions quietly building while retail is busy chasing hype? And what if the real money in crypto isn't memes or narratives, but payroll, payments, and financial infrastructure that actually runs the system? Today, we're going to be talking about the one, the only, the legendary, yes, you guessed it, Zebec Network. And there's a lot to unpack here because a lot of people are misunderstanding what's actually happening behind the scenes. Before we go deep into Zebec itself, I want to clear something up because I keep seeing the same confusion over and over again. I literally just saw this again today where people are saying the super app didn't drop this month. They lied again. No one officially said January. They said Q1. They said super app announcement soon. That's it. So let's not rewrite history just to fit emotions or impatience. And honestly, this explains exactly why Zebec, over the last 1 to 2 months, has been prioritizing what it has been prioritizing. They are not chasing short-term hype. They are building what institutions actually need. As institutions start moving payroll and payments on-chain, transparency alone is no longer enough. Internal transactions like salaries cannot be public. Teams don't want their wages visible. Companies don't want their internal flows exposed. Privacy by default becomes non-negotiable. This is something we already talked about in the last video. And over the last few weeks, Zebec has been putting a very heavy focus on privacy and security. That's not random timing. That's preparation. Simon, the founder of Zebec, explained this perfectly when he talked about why privacy is shaping up to be a 2026 megatrend. What broke in Web 2 and traditional finance that forced this shift, and why payroll, payments, and cards are where this entire battle is actually playing out. He explained that privacy has been core to Zebec's evolution and growth over the past year. They've brought on multiple privacy partners because the blockchain industry is right on the edge of mass adoption, and that adoption is not being driven by retail traders. It's being driven by institutions and enterprises using stablecoin-based solutions for payroll and payments, both domestically and internationally. The problem is that the transparent nature of blockchains has been a major deterrent to true institutional adoption. That's why private blockchains and privacy solutions have exploded recently. Payroll is the perfect example. Salary transparency sounds good in theory until it destroys team morale, internal trust, and HR structures. Companies expect privacy by default when adopting any crypto-based solution, and that is exactly why privacy sits at the center of what Zebec is building. Integrating Tier 1 privacy partners and launching white-label products across ecosystems. And by the way, Simon is extremely well-spoken and very intelligent. Is there praise here? Absolutely. Is it deserved? Without question. This team is executing at a level that's honestly hard to comprehend. What they're accomplishing every single week is mind-blowing, and it really makes you stop and think how a project doing this much is still so underrated. But that's the thing about being underrated. Eventually, you do get recognition. Right now, Zebec is sitting around a $262 to $263 million market cap, which is solid on its own. But for what Zebec is and what Zebec is becoming, let's be real, this should easily be a 20x base case. I'm not talking about the peak. I'm talking about a floor. A $4 to $6 billion market cap honestly makes sense once institutional adoption actually starts flowing in. And when that switch flips, things change very fast. Now, stay with me here because this is where everything starts connecting together. Look at gold. At one point, gold was sitting around a $40 trillion market cap. Over the last year alone, it nearly doubled, moving from around 20 trillion to 40 trillion. That is an insane amount of capital. Meanwhile, the entire crypto market today is around $2.84 trillion. That means crypto is roughly 13 to 14 times smaller than gold alone, not silver, not stocks, just gold. That tells you one thing very clearly. We are extremely early. When adoption and recognition come in, not just for crypto in general, but for real utility projects like Zebec, price levels like 50 cents, 75 cents, Even a dollar stop sounding unrealistic. Gold is up roughly 50% in the last 24 months. Silver is breaking out, sitting around $120 to $130. Fiat currencies are weakening globally, and the US dollar just had one of its worst performances in years. This isn't hype. This is capital hedging against fiat failure. Historically, when this happens, money migrates to new infrastructure. And here's the key thing people miss. The rails matter more than the asset. This time, the rails are digital. Institutions don't buy narratives, they buy function. Every winning token in the next cycle has a defined role. ISO 2022 is the operating language for banks and governments. XRP acts as a global liquidity bridge. Hedera handles enterprise trust and data integrity. And Zebec sits right in the middle of real-time money movement and payroll infrastructure. Zebec streams wages, subscriptions, and revenue, automates cash flow, powers crypto cards and ramps, and integrates AI-based fraud prevention. Zebec is not money waiting on the sidelines. It's money in motion. Continuous payments create structural demand. And that's why Zebec plays such a critical role in this ecosystem. That's also why I always say Zebec is like the blood in the body. Without it, nothing moves. This is exactly why Zebec is still extremely undervalued today. Now zoom all the way out. This isn't just another bull market. This is a financial operating system upgrade. When the switch happens, memes fade and infrastructure reprices. One last thing I want to touch on is liquidity rotation, because this is important. Historically, Bitcoin tops first, then Ethereum, then large caps like XRP, Cardano, XLM, and Hedera. After that, liquidity rotates into smaller infrastructure plays like Zebec. There's usually a 2 to 4 week delay, sometimes even 6 weeks. Even if Zebec captures just 1 to 2% of liquidity from each of these larger projects, that's massive. Instead of topping at 30 cents, Zebec could realistically see 37, 38, even 40 cents purely due to rotation and indirect liquidity flow. Right now, Zebec has nearly 94,500 holders, ranks 133 out of 8,949 active cryptocurrencies, sits around a $263 million market cap, has roughly $11 million in 24-hour volume, is up 10% over the last month, down 10% on the week, and down about 3% in the last 24 hours. This is what early looks like. This is how infrastructure gets built quietly before the spotlight turns on. Disclaimer. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Cryptocurrency investments are highly risky and volatile. Always do your own research and consult a qualified financial professional before making any investment decisions.